The giraffe is the tallest of all animals. The giraffe, the telephone, the piano. The giraffe is the tallest of all animals. The bicycle is an excellent means of transportation. When was the telephone invented? The dollar is the currency of the United States. In this example, the does not mean one specific thing. The giraffe, a specific type of animal, not a specific giraffe. We use the in this way to take about a type of animal, machine. In the same way, we use the for musical instruments. Can you play the guitar? The piano is my favorite instrument. Compare A and the. I'd like to have a piano, but I can't play the piano. I'd like to a piano, but I can't play the piano. We saw a giraffe at the zoo, but the giraffe is my favorite animal. Note that we use man without the. Human beings in general, the human race. What do you know about the origins of man? We use the adjective to talk about groups of people, specifically the young, the rich, the sick, the blind, the injured, the old, the poor, the disabled, the deaf, the dead, the elderly, the homeless, the employed, the young people, the rich people. Do you think the rich should pay higher taxes? The government has promised to provide more money to help the homeless. These expressions are always plural in meaning. For example, you cannot say a young or the injured for one person. You must say a young person, the injured woman. Note that we say the young. The nationality. You can use the nationality adjective that end in ch. The French are famous for their food. The French, the English, are plural in meaning. We do not say a French, an English. We have to say a Frenchman, an Englishwoman. You can also use the nationalities ending in esc, Chinese, Sudanese, Japanese. The Chinese invented printing, but these words can also be singular, a Japanese, a Sudanese, a Vietnamese, also a Swiss and the Swiss. A Swiss, singular, and the Swiss, the people of Switzerland. With other nationalities, the plural noun ends in s. For example, an Italian, Italians, a Mexican, Mexicans, a Thai, Thais. With these words, we do not normally use the to talk about the people in general. An Italian, Italians, a Mexican. We do not use the with the names of people. In the same way, we do not normally use the with the names of a place. For example, continents: Africa, Asia, South America. Countries: states: France, Japan, Brazil, Texas, Ireland, Sicily, Bermuda, Vancouver Island, Cuba. Cities and towns: Cairo, New York, Bangkok. Mountains: Everest, Kilimanjaro, Fuji. But we use the in names with republic, kingdom, states. The Czech Republic, the United Kingdom, the Dominican Republic, the United States of America, the United States of America, the USA. The USA. We visited Canada and the United States. When you use Mr., Mrs., Captain, Doctor, or name, we do not use the Miss Johnson, Dr. Johnson, Captain Johnson, President Johnson, Uncle Robert, Saint Catherine, Prince Anne, Princess Anne. We call the doctor. We call Dr. Jones. We call the doctor. We call Dr. Johnson. We use mount and lake in the same way without the. Mount Everest, Mount McKinley, Lake Superior, Lake Superior, Lake Victoria. They live near the lake. They live near Lake Superior, the lake. Lake Superior. We use the with the names of oceans, seas, rivers, gulfs, and canals. The Atlantic, the Gulf of Mexico, the Amazon, the Nile, the Channel between France and Britain, the Indian Ocean, the Caribbean, the Panama Canal. We use the with the names of desert, the Sahara, the Gobi Desert, the Sahara Desert, the Gobi Desert. We use the with plural names of people and places. The Mitchells, the Johnsons, the Netherlands, the Philippines, the United States, the Bahamas, the Canaries, the Hawaiian Islands, groups of islands, the Bahamas, the Canaries, the Hawaiian Islands, mountain range, the Rocky Mountains, the Rockies, the Andes, the Alps, the Alps. The highest mountain in the Andes is Mount Aconcagua. Aconcagua, the north, but northern Mexico, the north of Mexico, the north of Mexico, the north of Mexico, northern Mexico, the southeast of Canada, southeastern Canada. Sweden is in northern Europe. Spain is in the south. Spain is in the south. Spain is in the south. Also the Middle East, the Far East. We also use north, south in the names of some regions and countries. North America, South Africa, North America, South Africa, Southeast Texas. Note that on the map, the is not usually included in the name. North America, South Africa, Southeastern Texas. Names without the. We do not use the with the names of most city. Union Street, Fifth Avenue, Central Park, Wilshire Boulevard, Broadway, Times Square. Names of important public buildings and institutions. Airport stations are often two words. Kennedy Airport, Cambridge University. The first word is the name of a place or a person. These names are usually without the. In the same way, Penn Station, Boston University, Carnegie Hall, Lincoln Center, Buckingham Palace, but the Royal Palace. Royal is an adjective. It is not a name like Buckingham. Most other buildings have names with the Sheraton Hotel, the Delhi Restaurant, the Holiday Inn, the Suburb Theater, the Cineplex Odeon, the Suburb Theater, the Cineplex Odeon movie theater, the Guggenheim Museum, the National Gallery, the Guggenheim Museum, the Empire State Building, the White House, the Brooklyn Bridge. We often leave out the noun. The Sheraton, the Palace, the Guggenheim. Some names are only the noun. The Acropolis, the Kremlin, the Pentagon. Names with we usually have the Bank of England, the Museum of Modern Art, the Great Wall of China, the Tower of London, The University of Michigan, Michigan State University, the University of Michigan, Michigan State University. Many stores, restaurants, hotels, banks, etc. are named after the people who started them. These names end in s. We do not use the with these names. Joe's Dinner, McDonald's, Macy's. Churches often named after saints. St. John's Church, St. Patrick's Cathedral. Most newspapers and many organizations have names with the Washington Post, the Financial Times, the Tribune, the European Union, the BBC, the Red Cross, names of companies, airlines, etc. usually without the Fiat, Sony, Delta Airline, Coca-Cola, Apple Computer, Cambridge University Press. Singular and plural. Sometimes we use a plural noun for one thing that has two parts. For example, pants, also jeans, slacks, shorts, trousers, pajamas, top and bottom, pajamas, glasses, binoculars, scissors. These words are plural, so they take a plural verb. My pants are too long. We can also use a pair of these words. Those are nice jeans. That's a nice pair of jeans. I need some new glasses. I need a new pair of glasses. Some nouns end in ics but are not usually plural. Economics, electrics, gymnastics, mathematics, physics, politics. Gymnastics is my favorite sport. News is not plural. What time is the news on television? Television. Some words ending in s can be singular or plural. Means, a means of transportation, many means of transportation. Series, a television series, two television series. Species, a species of bird, 200 species of birds. We use a plural verb with police. The police are investigating the murder, but haven't arrested on anyone yet. The police are investigating. Note that we say a police officer, a policeman, a policewoman. The police are. Note that we say a police officer, a policeman, a policewoman. We do not often use the plural of a person. We normally use people. He is a nice person. They are nice people. Many people don't have enough to eat. We think of a sum of money, a period of time, a distance as one thing, so we use a singular. $20,000 was stolen in the robbery. $20,000. Sum of money, a period of time, a distance. 3 years. $20,000 was stolen. $20,000 was stolen. 3 years is a long time to be without a job. 3 years is a long time to be without a job. 6 miles is a long way to walk every day. 6 miles is a long way to walk every day. 6 miles is. $20,000 was. 3 years is. You can use two nouns together to mean one thing, people, idea. For example, a tennis player, a bank manager, a car accident, income tax, the water temperature. The first noun is like an adjective. It tells us what kind of thing, person, idea. A tennis ball, a ball used to play tennis. A car accident, an accident that happens while driving a car. Income tax that you pay on your income. The water temperature, the temperature of the water. A Boston doctor, a doctor from Boston. My life story, the story of my life. So you can say a television camera, a television program, a television studio, a television producer. These are all different things or people to do with the television. Language problems, marriage problems, health problems, work problems. Garden vegetables, vegetables that are grown in a garden, a vegetable garden, a garden where vegetables are grown, garden vegetables, or vegetables that are grown in a garden, a vegetable garden, a garden where vegetables are grown. Sometimes the first word ends is in ing. Usually these are things used for doing something. A frying pan, a pan for frying, a sleeping bag, a swimming pool, a dining room. Sometimes there are more than two nouns together. I waited at the hotel reception desk. We watched the World Swimming Championships on television. Television. Everyone is talking about the government corruption scandal. When two nouns are together like this, sometimes we write them as one word and sometimes as two separate words. A headache, toothache, toothpaste, a weekend, per soap, a weekend, per pea soup, a road sign. There are no clear rules for this. If you are not sure, write two words. Note that difference between sugar bowl, perhaps empty, and a bowl of sugar, a bowl with sugar. Sugar bowl, perhaps empty, and a bowl of sugar, or a bowl with sugar in it, a bowl of sugar bowl. Toolbox, the box may be toolbox, and a box of tools, a box full of tools, a box of tools. When you use noun plus noun, the first noun is like an adjective. It is normally singular, but the meaning is often plural. For example, a bookstore is a store where you can buy books, and an apple tree is a tree that has apples. In the same way, we say a 3 hour trip, a trip that takes 3 hours, a 3 hour trip. Two 14-year-old girls. $10 $10 bill, 14-year-old girl, a 6-page letter, 4-week course, a 2-story house. It was a 3 hour trip. The trip take 3 hours. We use s mostly for people or animal. Tom's computer isn't working. Tom's computer isn't working. How old are Chris? How old are Chris' children? How old are Chris' children? What's your sister's name? What's Tom's sister's name? Be careful. Don't step on the cat's tail. Note that you can use without a noun after it. This isn't my book. It's my sister's. We do not always use s for people. For example, we would use of in this sentence. What was the name? What is the name of the man who called you? The man who called you is too long to be followed by s. Note that we say a woman's hat, a boy's, a, a woman's hat, a hat for a woman, a boy's name, a name for a boy, a bird's egg, an egg laid by a bird. With a singular noun, we use as my sister's room, Mr. Carter's room. With a plural noun, we put an apostrophe at the end of the word. My sister's room, the Carter's house. If a plural noun does not end in s, we use apostrophe s. the men's changing room, the children's book. Jackie and Karen's wedding, Mr. and Mrs. Carter's house. For things, ideas, etc., we normally use of the book, of the restaurant, the door, of the garage, the things, ideas, we normally use of, the door of the garage, the door of the garage, the name of the book, the owner of the restaurant. Sometimes the structure noun plus noun is possible. The garage door, the restaurant owner. We say the beginning and middle of, the top, bottom of, the front, back, side of, the beginning of the month. 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 The top of the hill. The bag of the car. The top of the hill. The back of the car. We can usually use or for an organization. So you can say the government's decision, the decision of the government, the company's success, the success of the company. It is also possible to use apostrophe s for places, the city's street, the world's population, the city's street, the world's population, Brazil's largest city. You can also use apostrophe s with time expression, yesterday, next week. Do you still have yesterday's newspaper? Next week's meeting has been cancelled. In the same way, you can say today's, tomorrow's, tonight's, Monday's. We also use apostrophe s with periods of time. I've got a week's vacation. I've got a week's vacation starting on Monday. Sally hours needs 8 hours sleep and not sleep on night. Brenda got to work. Brenda got to work 15 minutes late, but lost on hours pay. But lost on hours pay. Hi, I'm Steve. Steve introduced himself to the other guests. We use myself, yourself, himself with reflexive pronouns when the subject and object are the same. Steve introduced himself, myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, ourselves, yourselves, themselves, yourself. I don't want you to pay for me. I'll pay for myself. I pay for myself. I pay for myself. Julia had a great vacation. She really enjoyed herself. Do you talk to yourself sometimes? Do you talk to yourself sometimes? If you want more to eat, help yourselves. If you want more to eat, help yourselves. It's not our fault. You can't blame us. It's not our fault. You can't blame us. It's our own fault. We should blame ourselves. We do not use myself. After feel, reflex, concentrate, meet. I feel nervous. I can't relax. I feel nervous. I can't relax. You have to try and concentrate. Concentrate. You have to try and concentrate. What time should we meet? What time should we meet? We normally use wash, shave, dress without myself. He got up, washed, shaved, and dressed. You can also say get dressed. He got dressed. Compare selves and each other. Kate and Joe stood in front of the mirror and looked at themselves. Kate and Joe stood in front of the mirror and looked at themselves. Kate and Joe looked at Kate and Joe themselves. Kate looked at Joe. Joe looked at Kate. They looked at each other. They look at each other. Kate looked at Joe. Joe looked at Kate. They look at each other. You can use one another instead of each other. How long have you and Bill known each other? Known each other, known each other, known one another, known each other, known one another. How long have you and Bill known each other? known one another. Sue and Anne don't like each other or don't like one another. Do you and Sarah live near each other or near one another? One another. We also use myself, yourself in other way. Who repaired your bicycle? Bicycle. Your bicycle for you. I repaired it myself. I repaired it myself. I repaired it. Not anybody else. Here, myself is used to emphasize I. It makes it stronger. Some more example. I'm not going to do your work for you. You can do it yourself. You can do it yourself. Let's paint the house ourselves. It will be much cheaper. The movie itself wasn't very good, but I love the music. I don't think Sue will get the job. Sue herself doesn't think she will get it, or Sue doesn't think she will get it herself. A friend of mine, a friend of Tom's. We say a friend of mine, yours, his, hers, ours, theirs. I'm going to wedding on Saturday. A friend of mine is getting married. A friend of mine. We took a trip with some friends of ours. Took a trip with some friends of ours. Of ours. Michael had an argument with a neighbor of his. It was a good idea of yours to go to the movies. In the same way, we say a friend of my sister's. That woman over there is a friend of my sister's. It was a good idea of Tom's to go to the movies. My own, your own. We use my, your, his, her, is, our, their before own. My own house, your own car, her own room, my own, your own. Something that is only mine, yours, not shared or borrowed. I don't want to share a room with anybody. I want my own room. Vicky and George would like to have their own house. It's a shame. It's a shame that the apartment doesn't have it's a shame that the apartment doesn't have its own parking space. It's a shame that the apartment doesn't have its own parking space. It's my own fault. It's my own fault that I don't have any money. I buy too many things I don't need. Why do you want to borrow my car? Why don't you use your own car? You can also use own to say that you do something yourself instead of somebody else doing it for you. For example, Bill usually cuts his own hair. Bill usually cuts his own hair. He cuts it himself. He doesn't go to a barber. I'd like to have a garden so that I could grow my own vegetables, grow them myself instead of buying them in stores. On my own, on your own. My children are living on their own, living in their own place and supporting, living living in their own place and supporting themselves. My children are living on their own. I traveled around Japan on my own, not on an organized tour. I traveled around Japan on my own. Are you raising your children on your own without the other parent? Are you raising your children on your own by yourself, alone, without other people? I like living alone. I like living by alone. I like living by myself. Did you go to Hawaii by yourself? No, with a friend, alone, by alone, without other people, by myself alone. Jack Jack was sitting by himself in a corner of the cafe. Jack was sitting by himself in a corner of the cafe. Student drivers are not allowed to drive by themselves. Student drivers are not allowed to drive by themselves.